Today on the Paul Harrell program, we're going to be talking about a controversial Arkansas prison, a proposed Arkansas prison in Franklin County, a prison that the people of Franklin County do not want. And to share all of these details with us about this controversy and more, we're going to be joined by Arkansas State Senator Bryan King. He's going to tell us what he thinks about all of this. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for being with us. As always, well, normally I'm joined by my co-host, Rob Spencer. He twisted his ankle. Say a prayer for Rob. He twisted his ankle. It's pretty swollen. He's using some red light therapy on it, and so hopefully that's going to have very promising results. As a matter of fact, I know it will. But say a prayer for Rob that he gets over his sprained ankle, because if that's ever happened to you, it's happened to me. You know, it's no fun. I want to welcome our guest for today, a friend of mine I've worked with or, interviewed many times. It's like old times, just me and Bryan King. Bryan, welcome back to the show, sir. How are you?
Hey, great, Paul. Thanks for having me. It seems like old times, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely it does. And, I have been reading about this prison for a long time. I've been, hearing the outrage, reading the outrage on social media, this back and forth. As somebody who lives in an area of the state in northeast Arkansas we do have our share of violent crime that is increasing. I certainly want a justice system that's going to, punish violent criminals, get them off the street. So we do have an issue. But it's not as simple as that when it comes to this proposed Franklin County prison, is it?
No, it's really not. And Paul, since we go back a long ways, this crisis, and I'll call it a three-headed monster of high crime, high overcrowding, and a high incarceration rate, this started years ago. This started under Mike Beebe in 2011 when he got in budget trouble. What's any governor do? They start letting people out of jail, big cost to try and make their budgets work. And that's what happened. And after that, you just saw crime rates started soaring. You see that Arkansas was not building new institutions to take care of this. Instead, they were spending money in things like, guess what? Medicaid. Medicaid spending, state and federal, since I went in, went up 350%. And, our state budget is like a balloon. When you expand in one area, you're going to contract in the others. And this is what happened. And then you see a series of bills. Then Governor Hutchinson comes in and he's going to tackle it. And his number one crime fighter that him, Bart Hester, all these guys fell in behind, Blake Johnson, all of them, was none other than Jeremy Hutchinson. Okay, Jeremy Hutchinson was going to solve all this crime, had all these bills. It was ridiculous. It was a joke, a farce. And, we know Jeremy Hutchinson was taking millions in bribes. It'd be like putting Al Capone in charge of interstate or, bootleg whiskey. Wasn't nothing good going to come of it. So in 17, I tried to address this. I said, if you went to corrections 4 times, you had to serve 80% of your sentence. Big price tag. Once again, Governor Hutchinson comes in. They wouldn't fund it. Bart Hester, all these guys wanted to fund their Medicaid buddies and continue that going. I said at the time in 2017, Paul, and I think we talked about it then, Amazon was voluntarily remitting internet tax. I said, let that be your revenue stream. Let it fund your corrections. Let it fund public and tackle this. They didn't do it. Things have got worse. So now Governor Sanders comes in and she's going to tackle this and take care of it. And they passed the Protect Act, which I voted for. But at the time, she said this ridiculous figure of we're going to build a 3,000 bed prison, 170 million. That's around 156,000 per bed. Absolutely no way, not even possible. Built one, a mega prison pre-COVID. It was twice that amount. Alabama's trying to build they said they're in 4 years ago, they said they were going to build 2 4,000 bed prisons, 8,000 beds for 1.3 billion. They're half done with one right now. And they're estimating that one at 1.3 billion, and they're having to go back and borrow money to try and finish it. These mega prisons are mega financial disaster, every one of them. This is no different. So then we fast forward to about a year ago, the governor pops up in Franklin County, which where the proposed prison at is in Senator Stubfield's district, in his part of Franklin County. My part of Franklin County it is not in, but it's going to impact that. Uh, and then all of a sudden calls up one day and says, "Oh, by the way, you're going to get a 3,000 bed prison, and you're going to like it. It's good for you." The people had no due process, which is wrong. And all of a sudden, she just pops up and says, "You're going to get it, whether you like it or not. I don't care what you local people think. I don't care." Then once the bomb goes off, I've said, there needs to be a due process these people didn't get, whether it's building a highway or whatever government function. Our founding fathers set up a system that said, you get a due process in it. They did not get a due process. That's wrong. And then when you start looking at the site location and how they picked it and everything, and their reasoning behind it was so incompetent. It is, I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, you're talking about 800 workers they think they're going to get. Paul, there's no way in that part of rural county. Where Mill Creek Mountain at, it's way out in the country. There's not even the road in there to handle it. There's no water, there's no sewer, there's no electric. It's on a mountain of rock. If you want to pick the most expensive location to build any major structure, build it on a mountain of rock. I mean, so they did none of that. Why we didn't go to Fort Chaffee over there, we have literally thousands of acres, already roads, infrastructure, is beyond me. We didn't even look at any other locations. So, to fill all your viewers in, it's kind of a long story about how we get here. You find all gross incompetence. You find they were lying about that in FOIA emails, lying about the whole thing to keep covering it up.
Okay, so let's stop
Everything in
right
government
there.
just
You know,
shouldn't
you're
happen.
talking about
Yeah,
Freedom of Information Act emails that people. So what do
that's
you
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Lying about what specifically?
Okay, you have emails from Jake Bleed saying, "Don't call this a prison, call it a land deal or something else." They were, that's what they did in emails. And so you just saw this deception of trying to hide the whole thing. And then, once it comes out and you start looking at everything, we don't have the workforce to build. Number one, they don't have the figures to build a 3,000 bed prison. They said 470 million, then they jumped to like a billion, and then they jumped to 825 million. I mean, they've jumped all over the place. How would you even trust them? Think about building a house when a guy says, "Oh, I can build that house for 47,000." No, wait a minute. It's going to be 100,000. Oh, wait a minute. Now it's going to be 82,000. I mean, would you trust that person? So, and then if you look at the dynamics, and this is what important for Northeast Arkansas people to try and understand. Right now, we have 75 counties, and about 8 counties make up half the population. So you literally have 4 counties in Arkansas, Pulaski, Benton, Washington, Sebastian County, that are contributing half the inmates to this system. Okay. They're contributing half. Pulaski County has Wrightsville Prison. You have Benton, Washington, Sebastian County contributing, uh, I think, almost 1 out of 4 inmates. They're not building jails that other rural counties are doing to step up and take care of misdemeanor crime and that. And if we allow them to keep going without any consequence, they're going to bankrupt our state. And it's just going to bankrupt Northeast Arkansas. It's going to bankrupt the whole state if we get into a financial boondoggle, as this is already proven to be. And I mean, it's just bad all the way around.
So let me ask you this, because I've heard those arguments. I've heard that there isn't any water there. It's a rural area on a rock and on a mountain. There's no sewer there. There are other places that this prison could be. So my question is, why not put it somewhere else? Why is this the only idea? This is the only proposal that seems to work. And I'd like for you to also talk about the atmosphere in Little Rock. I mean, are you the only one? Are you the lone voice that's against the prison? Obviously, I know the late Senator Gary Stubblefield was. Is there an attempt to to say, hey, no, the prison's not going to go here? Is the legislature going to do anything about it? But like, what's the feeling there in Little Rock, as well as why does it seem, just for me looking from the outside in, just looking at all this, it seems like there is just this, come hell or high water, there's going to be a prison there. And I just want to know why that particular spot, why this particular spot in Franklin County?
The governor's office and his Joe Porfiry guy that's got hired out of Arizona, that got fired by the Board of Corrections, that is promised a bunch of things he can't back up. In fact, JPR tried to pull him in front of the committee and be sworn in under oath. He skips out. The citizens in Franklin County went getting sworn in under oath. The Board of Corrections went and sworn an oath. Joe Porfiry, the central guy in this, skipped out and ran like a scalded dog. And you know how things work down there. They tried to do some feeble attempt to subpoena him, and it failed. So it's like this is a central guy in a $1 billion+ project, and they can't even show up and answer questions. They keep saying we've done the due diligence work. We found out no, that's not the case. I mean, they're just hell bent on this, and what these prison building companies want to do, and these architects and everything, they want you, number one, to pick the most expensive location because guess what? They make more money. These mega prison building companies, they know once you get in, you spend 600 million to be half done like Alabama and quit. No, you're not going to do that. You're literally sunk in this deal. And that is what they're trying to do in the governor's office. And a lot of these legislators, and a lot of them up in your area, Senator Sullivan, Johnson, Wallace, all went down this path of like saying, we're going to vote for this stuff. And, now we're finding out, Paul, this is the biggest thing that is so hypocritical to me. All these guys, and include myself, schools, and know, we're for, against affirmative action, against this woke DEI stuff, and the governor, they all preach this stuff about being against woke DEI. Every one of these companies, as I've sent you, that they're trying to contract your on a $1 billion+ project are DEI. I mean, it is like I don't know how they sit there and bash a professor for teaching DEI, and then they turn around and contract with these prison architects and companies. And the biggest thing is too right now, we've paid a guy company Veneer out of California $1 million on this project. Paul, there's been anything done up there, and there can't be because the legislature, we defeated the governor five times in this historic defeat,
You mean on this
and
prison
keep still
five
going.
times on
Yeah,
the
on this
prison?
prison, defeated five times.
Well, I'm just in here thinking. I wonder if you were to go. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just kind of the state of the world. I wonder if you were to go out and try to build a prison anywhere, and if there are any companies left that haven't bent the knee to diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's probably so many of them at this point. If when you get big enough, you've got that. All of those giant hedge funds, BlackRock, and they're all putting out this
Hmm.
environmental social governance and DEI if you want to be a legit business. And they're behind the curve on that. Obviously, the American people have rejected this nonsense. But yeah, to your point, if I had to say, I don't think an average Arkansas taxpayer would not want our taxpayer dollars to go into these woke corporations, any of them.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that is the case, and once again, when it comes up there, you see the financial contributions, you see the contributions already line up against me with Bobby Ballinger. Now, there was something sent out. I sent it to you about, this is $1 billion+ cash out. This is a cash out for probably even 10 years out, and they know they've got to get it, and they're going to do anything they can, whatever they need to do, fund, prop up somebody, lie, whatever, get it. And that's why the hypocrisy, a lot of these people up there, like Senator Blades, he votes and doesn't want counties to do DEI, but then he turns around and is all for a mega prison with $1 billion in a woke DEI companies. I mean,
Well, so I want to
it
get
is
back.
just sheer hypocrisy.
I want to get back to why Franklin County. Do you know why? Like, why does it have to be in Franklin County? Is there any concrete answer to that question, or do we just have to speculate? Does it all come down to money? But again, why this location?
Yeah, that is, Governor and Joe Porfiry, and that's why we try to, swear them in under oath and find out the answers before we get into Deep's project. We can get out of this project right now. We can find more economical alternatives. Let's say you do have a budget of 800 million. Right now, I'm emailing Veneer in the governor's office. What is your site prep cost? I worked in the construction business years ago, building, when we were building chicken houses, you look at, how you have to do stuff. Am I a mega prison building expert? No, but you do know the basics. So your site prep costs, let's say right now, to get water out there, they drilled for water. They didn't even get enough water there to run a dwelling house. How are you going to get into even begin to get enough water for 3,800 people? It is so unbelievably ridiculous how they have continued to fund this thing and keep going, some of these people. And we can't even, like I said, get even simple answers. They just keep wanting to go in Franklin County. We can build smaller regional facilities, more economical, flexible to meet the needs of building more space. We can address mental health issues. A lot of these people in the prison system are mental health issues. In my proposal, it's like taking $100 million out of general revenue to hire more officers. You take like Pulaski County's 13% of the population, I believe, it contributed 21% of the inmates. If these four counties do not start controlling the crime problem, they're just going to sit there and turn them over the system and bankrupt us. That's just the simple facts of it.
Yeah, so I mean, if the National Guard came to Little Rock, would we have enough space to house these people? Honest question. Would we right now?
No, yeah, we haven't had enough space to build it. That's what in 2017 I tried so hard to get Governor Hutchinson at the time to follow my plan to fund it and build facilities in. But a lot of these chest beaters like Barter that talked up on crime more interested in funding these. Jeremy Hutchison was in that time. Jeremy Hutchison, I wish the Senate video was there and gave this floor about how we shouldn't do it and we should go with his plan right now. Well, look how his plans turned out. I mean, he was more interested in making sure his Medicaid friends got funded than to fund a new prison or fund, more police officers to lower crime. And that's what happened. We're in this situation because we should have been funding more for facilities. We should have been tackling more for mental health issues. But mental health issues in other states, when they built facilities, are much less. This prison, as it's going right now, will be at least four or $500,000 per bed. To build mental health facilities, my understanding, much less. But you're not going to get the cash out in this whole thing. So and I've got a fly bothering me right now.
No,
So
there's no
uh,
worries.
yeah.
So yeah, the that's interesting. A lot of I've talked to some people about this because I had no idea the staffing problems, with the prisons, and
Mhm.
you don't make a lot of money as a prison guard, do you? I mean, there's an issue there as well, right? I mean, you can expand the prison, but are you going to have enough people to staff it? Are you gonna pay them what they would need to be paid to be competent, right? I mean, there's a lot of issues behind all of this.
Yeah, there is. A lot of our prisons are understaffed, some of them 50% staffing. Most of these are in areas of the state that have declining populations. So they're going to have to build some facilities up here in Northwest Arkansas. They need to build them in Benton and Washington County. That's where the population growth. I mean, I think in 20, 30 years, they're estimating Benton, Washington County may be 1 million people at that point. So they need to be building facilities up there where you do have the amount of people to try and labor. Let me just tell you, Utah built a mega prison. This is how disaster all these mega prisons are. It's 5 miles from the Salt Lake City airport. It's within like a 45-minute drive or even an hour drive, maybe at the most, of 1 million people. They can't staff their mega prisons. We've got to build smaller regional facilities and try and out where we get the staffing from. This idea that they're going to get 800 people to work way out in rural Franklin County is literally a
So sorry, you kind of broke up there. Are you saying you said it was a farce?
yeah, it's a farce for the governor and just Joe Porfiry and the supporters of it to say somehow we're going to get 800 people out in rural Franklin County. You're just not. It wouldn't matter if your business instruments out there. It is just not the source that we need to have the labor force to try to staff a mega prison.
So I
Look
mean,
at Utah, for example.
how many prison guards or what's the staff count on a 3,000 bed prison? How many people would work there? What's the projection? Do you know?
They're saying 800 people.
Okay, that's you just said that. Yeah, 800 people. And so
Yeah.
right now, like what's the population of Franklin County? Thereabouts.
Yeah, I think I don't remember exactly. I have the top part, but it's well under that. They're trying to say Fort Smith's a draw. Well, I can tell you for the same, we've had HR people say 40, Fort Smith's like 40, 45 minutes away. You can have the same amount that they're going to offer for that mega prison to work there. they have openings in the same, equal jobs in Fort Smith. So you're going to sit there and say that people are going to somehow drive 45 minutes from outside Fort Smith out there one way, drive 45 minutes back when they could work in Fort Smith
Yeah.
for the same amount of money? I mean, so that's where we're at in this whole thing. The whole thing has been based on gross incompetence, deception, lies, everything else. And, as I said in my floor speech, they've been like a frog on a hot rock. I mean, the rock gets hot and then they jump somewhere else and they start saying another story. And then they're going to jump somewhere else and go to another issue. So,
What are the
I mean,
people?
it's,
What are the people of Franklin County think? And I mean, your constituents as well as the late Senator Gary Stubblefield's constituents. I mean, is there anybody there on the right, Republicans over there that actually want this thing to come to fruition?
I mean, I think there are people in there that they're probably more quiet about it. I mean, certainly a prison is jobs, and you know it. Uh, it does create jobs. It is recession-proof jobs where you're going to have those jobs. It's going to be solid in that. Calico Rock over there is a place that was against it for a lot of people, and then now they've got it in there. It does create jobs for them. There are places in the state that facility and are interested in it. I think the biggest thing that really irked Franklin County is this thing of Pearl Harbored people. To not give them a due process where they didn't even know, don't even know anything about. Right now, for example, I mean, they're having trouble with water issues in their rural water systems out there and their plants and infrastructure to supply the water now. So now that they can't drill water there, they're looking at going to Fort Smith and revamping their water system. So if you go to Fort Smith, they're estimated at 240 million, almost a quarter of $1 billion to revamp their system and would take 8 to 10 years to get it out there. And so that's part of the deception that they keep saying is just to say, hey, we're gonna get this going, we get this started. And it's just like I said, it's just been deception at every turn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's again. I mean, I've just been reading I've been reading this stuff online, and it does just seem odd, and I just still can't. I just don't understand if there are other places that want, and again, I know there's other ideas, regional areas that are smaller, but if there is another area, that would want a 3,000 bed prison, why not put it there? I guess I don't understand. This is the question that I don't know. I guess we can't get an answer to. It's like we've made
Yeah.
it's maybe like the government's made a controversial decision. They didn't consult the residents of Franklin County. It is a controversial thing. I mean, it is now, one of the most controversial things in Arkansas politics right now, and yet it's just no, it's still going to go there. We're going to put it there, and I don't know. It seems
Uh-huh.
odd that we just don't want to reassess the facts, change our minds. It's not a political loss to say, hey, I've heard from the people, and we're not going to put it in Franklin County, right? People would sing the governor's praises or whoever else's praises if they did something like that,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah, and despite being 5 times, Joe Porfiry, skipping out of being sworn under oath. I mean, if this don't throw out so many red flags, I mean, the thing of these legislators, like I mentioned, Senator Johnson, Senator Stubbsfield, or Sullivan, sitting there preaching against woke DEI, and then turn around and turn open checkbooks to a California company that's already received $1 million. This is a scam, Paul. I have said, and you've known me for a long time. I say some strong words, but you back it up. I've said this is a scam from the start. It's just a scam to get money out of us and profiteers. If it wasn't, they would be calling on me to prove it, resign, on me like white on rice. I mean, is this whole thing that people need to realize is that this is a scam that I've wrote a column in 8 years, there won't be 1,000 prisoners up there. We'll be out probably close to $1 billion. This governor and these profiteers will already cash out and be gone, and we'll be sunk in bankruptcy if we don't do something more expansive to try to, address this whole problem created by the Bart Hesters and the people that have been underfunding corrections and Jeremy Hutchison.
Do you think I have to ask this question? I mean, do you think there were promises made, promises made potentially to donors that, hey, when this administration gets in there, this is what we're going to do. I mean, is there that
Hmm.
pressure at all? I'm just curious. Like I have no idea if that's the case, but again, I'm trying to figure out why Franklin County, and that's where my brain is going. Have there been promises made years ago, and is that why this is now such a stubborn? It just seems like a stubborn issue.
Yeah, I mean, they keep going. You find it out now that the Gilmores in this are representing different entities that will profit out of it. Ben Gilmore ran the legislation. He won't answer questions. I mean, I've uncovered things, Paul. Remember when everybody badmouthed me about, oh, there's no corruption with Medicaid going on here? Brian's crazy. Linda Collins, she's crazy. Josh Miller. How many Medicaid disclosure bills did we try to run that kept being failed? That we were mean, everything, crazy, all that. Don't listen to us. How many people went to prison over Medicaid and bribes? I mean, this is the same thing. And right now, people need to understand in Northeast Arkansas, it's like not even as talked about issue, but let me just every county in Northeast Arkansas better start paying attention because we're going to be bankrupted. Just try to bail out Benton County and Washington County and Sebastian County.
Let me ask you this: where were you, Senator Bryan King, when you heard the news that former Senator Jeremy Hutchinson got a pardon?
Oh, I mean, I don't remember where I was at. I mean, I think I was here at my house and it's like made me want to throw up, like literally throw up when I heard that. The guy is a criminal. I mean, he took millions in bribes, he took everything, and then all of a sudden he got free. And he not just alone with that, the prison policy. He kept running bills that says we're going to reduce crime, reduce the prison overcrowding, and everything's going to be great. You vote for these bills. And you know what? The opposite happened. And now the guy's free. I mean, how many times did we give interviews down there that I kept saying, this is what's going on. Linda, God love her. I miss her every day. If we had her in the Senate right now speaking up, and instead of somebody like John Payton, I mean, it was just a big help. I mean, but how vilified was Linda? And look at all the campaign contributions against her and me, everything else. It was all from the gay mafia that wanted her out and silenced and me out and silenced, and they're trying to do the same thing all over again. These happening right now is you've got these legislators and a bunch of them. There's these politicos. I mean, and to me, they're just a bunch of, pardon my language, spoiled ass uh, politico kids that are playing a political monopoly game with our money, and anybody tries to mess up with it, instead of Baltic or Tennessee Avenue, they're playing a mega prison, they're playing this program. And you see continually Grant Hodges, Lance Eads, John Burris, all these guys. We have a 2-year ban on lobbying. Guess what? Now they leave, they go to work for lobbying firms, they lobby, and they call themselves consultants or account managers or whatever. I mean, it is seriously so corrupt down there now. And, if we don't do something and people don't wake up, they are bankrupting this state right now. And they have been flooded with this COVID funny money balances that have bailed them out. And then somehow, right now, there's money.
Oh, looks like we lost Senator Bryan King for a second. I was about to ask him. He may have gotten. He's on his cell phone, and so oh, we got you there.
Yes.
All right, I don't have your video, sir. You're gonna have
Okay,
to.
my back.
All right,
My
there we go.
video back.
Okay. Yeah, so I was about to
All
ask
right.
you. Do you have any friends in Little Rock? I mean, like I said, I've interviewed you more times than I can remember, especially back in the day, and you always speak your mind, Bryan, and you always, tell it the way you see it, tell it like it is. Do you have any friends in Little Rock?
I mean, it has been, friends in politics is like an oxymoron, I would tell you. Senator Stubbsfield was somebody I counted on. I mean, I talked about Linda Collins, who, like I said, I miss her in the Senate so bad. I miss her every day that I go in the Senate because you knew Linda was not going to be corrupted. She was not going to be part of the machine. She was going to speak her mind and go on. And, I miss that. And now there's so many deal makers. Let me just tell you, Gary Stubbsfield, there's an article that he openly talks about members being extorted and bribed with our tax dollars in the newspapers. And that's what's going on. They, you know how it is. They pull you back there and they make a deal for your district, want you to sell out, whatever it takes, chairmanship, whatever. I mean, I don't know. It's really bad. I mean, like I said, it's worse now than ever because there's too many of these guys go down there with no jobs, nothing. They're politicos or whatever, and they can see themselves taking a job and cashing out. I mean, look at Grant Hodges on the Board of Correction. He works for Chase Duggar, a lobbyist firm, but he calls himself account manager. I mean, there's a gaggle of them down there, Paul, doing it. So it's very hard. We did have the Democrats joined us for the most part and helping stop that the destruction train that they were on. There was some Republicans that stepped up, but eventually, you know, some of them wind up falling in it and give these lame excuses of like, we got to do something. Well, we do, but do we have to, sink
I
the
see.
state
Yeah.
with $1 billion boondoggle?
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
it's this. You get talking points from the party, from the
Yeah.
administration. The decision has been made pretty much in lockstep. Hey, there will be a prison in Franklin County, and we'll see what
Hmm.
happens. We'll see what happens in the fiscal session. We'll see what happens, but which is coming up in next year. But you mentioned Senator Gary Stubblefield, who when he got sick, I mentioned him on this show, urging people to pray for him. When he passed away, we urged people to pray for his family. But there are, people of Franklin County that want representation and they want a special election. The news is
Hmm.
that Governor Sanders, is going to schedule the special election, but she wants to schedule it after the fiscal session. And this has made some people upset. There's a lawsuit. And just yesterday, I've got this story from Conduit News here over on X that Judge Patricia James has ruled in favor of Colt Shelby in his lawsuit against Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Quote, to allow the special election to take place after the conclusion of a legislative session would indeed result in an infringement of a constitutional right based on the fundamental democratic principle of no taxation without representation. There would be far-reaching ramifications if the governor were allowed to deny duly elected representation for citizens of the state of Arkansas, and any action resulting in the denial of adequate representation for any Arkansas citizen conscience of this court. Therefore, petitioner's second amended petition for writ of declaratory judgment and injunctive relief is granted. So that was yesterday, and then I do believe we had another one here that they are appealing. So the state is now going to appeal. Tim Griffin, or said via spokesperson, Attorney General Griffin, I'm disappointed by the ruling and the plan they plan to appeal. They say Governor Sanders is confident that on appeal, the law clearly giving the governor the authority to set special elections will be upheld. So what do you make of this? What are you hearing? Again, part of your district is Franklin County. A large part of Gary's district was Franklin County. So what are your thoughts on this special election?
Yeah, number one, it's wrong. I mean, so we have a law that says within 150 days, the governor is supposed to call a special election or have a good reason not to. The most any special election in that or similar cases that we could find was only like 170, 80 days. She originally tried to go 14 months, over 400 days where these people wouldn't have representation. It was just a pure evil, political, spiteful scheme that she is playing with this. She got enough heat. She moved it back. Her and the Secretary of State, little Cole, the joke's on you, Jester, I call him. I mean, he's another one. He got appointed to the job as Secretary of State, and all of a sudden, he knows everything and he doesn't know anything. I mean, I've actually been on election commission and was rooting out voter fraud, when he was in his diapers, and all of a sudden he got appointed to this, backdoored his way into it. They tried to say what was a cost factor, and they came out some figure of 20,000 or $50,000. And I mean, the real reason is here they're stealing representation, and it doesn't matter if you're Hudson Hallam. I fought voter fraud, as you know, election fraud. Election fraud really is not about stealing elections; it's about stealing representation.
It's funny
It's
that you
about
mentioned
stealing it
Hudson.
for
I referenced Hudson Hallam. We and Rob were talking about voter fraud
Oh,
the other day, and it came to me. I forgot all about it. We were specifically talking about how
yeah.
he bought the ballots by giving his constituents
Vodka
vodka
for,
and
yeah,
fried chicken
fried chicken.
chicken
Yeah, they
dinners.
went along. They kept saying Brian's crazy. Another one, Brian's crazy. There's no voter fraud here. Brian, don't listen to Brian. And then all of a sudden, we had people busted for voter fraud. And Dutson Allen said in his interview, "Well, that's just the way we've always done it." So I mean, but basically, what Hudson Hallam did, or anybody, is they steal representation, and that is what the governor's doing by having the special election. Because now we have a budget session that they will not even have a voice. They won't have a voice on education, healthcare, the budget, agriculture, anything at all. And so she set the special election date after the budget session, which is like 130 days. And we had instances in court of like where Lance Eads resigns to be a lobbyist, a consultant or whatever, and they have it within 150 days. We can have elections within 150 days. She is just doing nothing more in the Secretary of State than an evil, political, spiteful scheme
I don't
to
understand
deny
that though.
representation.
I don't understand. I don't understand the reasoning. So, educate me real quick. Remind me for a second. So, in a fiscal session, what's the threshold? What are we talking about here on passing things? Is it just 51%, or is it 2/3 or 3/4? I can't remember. Like
It's
what?
3/4, and that's what makes one vote important. How many votes have you seen that one vote makes a difference? And you have a 75 vote threshold. That also allows non-budget bills that's being introduced. It's, without a voice there to vote. You take Senator Stubfield's seat on judiciary and city, county, local, where bills may go through, where it takes 5 votes or 4 votes to block something very important and crucial. It also flips, listen to this, it flips his legislative council seat where all these prison contracts go through. It flips it from him to Stephanie Flowers.
Oh
I
wow.
mean, you flipped it from red to blue. You flipped it from Charleston and Ozark and Greenwood to Pine Bluff. I mean, that is their calculated scheme that they wanted to do. That is so far reaching in this. When you look at the whole thing, scheme, the whole holistic way of looking at it, it's not just the budget session coming up, folks. It's on the committees, it's on legislative council, it's on
I
every aspect of this.
Yeah, I actually, as I think about that, I think you're right. I think you're onto something. I actually think the committee reassignment is more valuable.
Hmm.
Because that's where all the sausage is made. I mean, you know that. I know that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting. So I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. They're going to appeal. What do you think the Supreme Court's going to do?
Well, I mean, the Supreme Court, 2 members are appointed by the governor. I mean, she appointed 2 of the members. 2 other members, I don't have much confidence in. So, I mean, it's not really a good court. The law is clear. Have the election in 150 days or provide a good reason. They have not even
Well, you know
provided a
what?
good reason.
Well, there'll be a clear record of it because, if the courts side with Governor Sanders and then the fiscal session happens and you only squeak things by one vote in a few instances, it'll be patently obvious
Or
what
defeat
happened.
something by vote. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
just voting for something to get it through by one vote, it's also defeating it by one vote, too.
right. Yeah, fascinating. All right, so while I have you here, and I appreciate you walking us through all that, Brian. And I know you've taken a lot of time to do it, and I know it can be extremely frustrating with what's going on. But I wanted to ask you about cattle farms. Hang on, specifically, let me
Hmm.
see if I can't find this letter here. First of all, let's talk about what President Donald Trump said. He posted on Truth Social. The cattle ranchers who I love don't understand that the only reason they are doing so well for the first time in decades is because I put tariffs on cattle coming into the United States, including a 50% tariff on Brazil. If it weren't for me, they would be doing just as they've done for the past 20 years. Terrible. It would be nice if they would understand that, but they also have to get their prices down because the consumer is a very big factor in my thinking also. So, this is taking a lot of heat for this. Now, we talked to Congressman Rick Crawford here. He was sitting in seat number 3 a couple of weeks ago. We talked to him about the farmers, the agriculture, the row croppers, and the need to get funding to them as soon as possible. We didn't address beef because that's really not as big of an industry over here in the eastern part of the state, but I certainly know it is over in the western part of the state where you are. And a lot of people are criticizing this as tone deaf because there's a lot of people that think that the cattle farmers are not the issue, it's the meat packers. What are your thoughts
Hmm.
on that?
Absolutely. The reason we're in this high process is because it's just more of a controlled market than a free market. And you even look at the land purchases where Bill Gates is the largest landowner here in Arkansas. You look at a lot of the land that has been bought, not for agriculture reasons, but for other reasons by entities. I mean, so that's part of it. Part of it is four packers control 80+% of the market. And that is not a free market. I mean, it's not a competitive market. And that's why you see the shifts. That's what's happened. I mean, there were times here years ago that they were selling high beef prices in the grocery store, but yet the cattlemen like myself were not getting the prices we deserved at the market. It was just a controlled, choked mechanism that is basically screwing the regular farmers and the consumer too as well. I mean, our beef numbers have been going down, and demand has been going up. So, and the population goes up. So naturally, that means higher prices. But the market was not able to fluctuate because it's a controlled market. And where we're at right now, it's just that simple.
So you fired off a letter to Senator John Bozeman. I have it here. Senator
And
Bozeman,
others, and Crawford, and everybody. So,
all of them.
yeah,
Okay. Well, here's one to Bozeman.
yeah.
President Donald Trump has suggested the idea of importing more Argentinian beef to help lower beef prices in America. However, this idea is neither beneficial nor a long term solution, especially considering that Argentina already has a highly unbalanced trading relationship with the United States. The American beef supply chain is currently under stress due to factors such as drought and concerns about screwworms. The beef market is primarily controlled by three major packers. These companies dominate the industry, influencing price and supply chains. Increasing imports from Argentina would negatively impact American farmers in rural communities. The federal government should prioritize supporting American farmers and ranchers rather than harming them. I oppose using American tax dollars to support the importation of Argentinian beef and urge you to do the same. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. If I can be assistance, please don't hesitate to contact me. So yeah, I wonder.
Hmm.
Again, we on this show we criticize President Trump when he does things bad, and we celebrate when he does things that are good or things that we agree with.
Hmm.
This just seems like it just seems like the people around him, the advisors, don't really know what's going on in the American cattle market industry.
Yeah. Well, and that's where politics, you have these politicos, as I understand, they're just political appointees like Cole Jester or like, Brooke Rollins, who does not understand, has never operated, doesn't understand what it's like to make a tractor or make a payroll, to put up hay, to look at, genetics, don't make those decisions. And you look at the money influence of the big packers, they're the ones that's controlling things. I mean, Thomas Massey, who's been a great patriot out there trying to put the right. Well, they go up there, and the next thing you know, it's like this prison deal. Deals get made, everything, and ultimately, this is all about the producers and cattlemen, which I am. This is about the consumers and getting them the best choices, and they need to understand it is the process and what has happened with the government and the money influences that has put us in this situation. It hadn't been the actual regular farmer out there or cattle person that's created this system and taking our tax dollars and buying Argentine beef to come in here, makes no sense at all and will not be, it'll be an actual detriment to consumers and the regular cattlemen that get up every day and depend on it. Now, if you're Bill Gates, I mean, of course, we know Bill Gates thinks cows have depleted the ozone, not his personal jets that he flies all around. So, like I said, anybody you want to listen to somebody that says that cow farts are, depleting the ozone, but not his personal jets. You know,
How much
so
of
I don't
Arkansas?
know what else to say.
How much Arkansas farmland is Bill Gates owned? Do you know?
I don't know the figure. I do know from, seems like credible
It's a
outlets
lot.
that say he is mostly row crop. It's a lot. Yeah. And you have these larger farms in eastern Arkansas that, used to a farmer over there was 5,000 acres. Now they're selling out. Now you've got 14,000, 18,000. They've just got bigger, and it's got more away from the what we think of the American farmer, somebody that's using the land, has it as a substantial part of their income and make things work with the way it should, which is better for the consumers, or this corporate farming that is going on. So
Well,
it's a holistic
it's
problem.
yeah, and I'm not, I've we had a guy from the industry in the ag industry. I didn't realize that corn is the same price it was in 1970. Yet all your
Yeah, look
inputs,
at inputs though.
yeah, the
Yeah.
inputs have gone sky high. Trucks, tractors, all of it sky high, but you're still selling for the same price in 1970. So
Hmm.
there's something, and I think that's by design. I think that empowers the people like Bill Gates. And I
Absolutely.
don't want
Yeah,
I don't want Bill Gates to control my food supply. I don't want the globalists. I don't want the elites. I don't want the World Economic Forum controlling our food
that's
supply.
right.
And yet
Yeah.
we've got to do something. This is a national security issue, and the whatever's got to happen needs to happen to keep these farmers from having to sell their land to Bill Gates.
Yeah, and that's right. And I mean, it's getting where, Walmart, for example, is putting in, I think, a $350 million dairy in Georgia. They're buying beef processing plants. And once they do that, and when you control from when it's processed to what is packaged to the consumers, you're controlling the whole market. And you see that fines get levied. They're not, 40, $50 million, these big corporate, things are not really penalizing, you know, fines. So, I mean, you see where the system set up by the people that are bought off the thing, just like much like this prison deal. It's a calculus scheme, political games that they're playing, and political monopoly game with our money to set up a system where they're the only ones that profit out of it. And every year we just keep losing them, but yet they get more control and more power over us. And that's the whole end scheme game. And this is a no brainer with this RB scheme to say you're literally hurting more the system of the individual farmer that depends on it for at least a part of his living or substantial part of his living, like myself and my brother. You just keep playing that system till you just keep out. And, you see just like in Little Rock on big deals, these guys come in like Grant Hodges, John Burris, uh, Chase Duggar, all that, and they literally figure out how to get the system where they literally profit and make the money, and it's us and the consumers that will wind up suffering in the end.
Yeah. Well, I just want things to get better
Yeah.
for the people that live here, the Americans, and man, I mean, there's good things that are happening, but yeah, I mean, if I want to take a black pill, or let me say this, Brian, if I want to be a black pill bulimic, take the black pill, but then regurgitate it back up, have hope. Um, you're the type of guest that makes me want to take the black pill. That's not meant to be an insult,
Well,
sir.
don't do that.
Not
We're
meant to
gonna.
be an
If you're
insult.
still eating beef, then hey, Paul, I'm gonna lose a customer. Please don't do that. I'm not doing that, obviously. But there has to be a wake up call out here, and you can see I've been a Republican back decades ago. Was on the election commission decades ago. I was a Republican leader decades ago. But you're seeing where the party structure is getting like the Republican Party today. Joseph Wood and the Republican Party is protecting the governor and will not say something and allowing the stealing representation. Let's flip it around and say, what if Joe Biden was doing that? Oh, they'd be arms over it. And now they don't say anything, so they're culprits in the system. But yeah, Paul,
So
I will say this: the prison issue has woke people up around the state. People are starting to wake up and see that, like this governor, her and her husband, and a lot of these guys, they're just using us as financial and political stepping stones to get to the next level. That's it. That's all they're doing. And people are really waking up to that part. You're seeing defeating FOIA took the Democrats and took some Republicans to defeat FOIA, trying to close it on this prison deal. We're starting to see some things where people are waking up together and saying, hey, look at the hypocrisy I said of like Blake Johnson. I mean, he sits there and votes for all these woke DEI companies and then come and says, well, I'm against woke DEI and everything. No,
what are
you're not.
your um on Friday we had Conrad Reynolds in studio. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think about the indictment of Conrad Reynolds for this electioneering or the what was it, exit polling? Or have you been following that at all? What are your thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, I've been following that as a former election commissioner, that fought voter fraud, exposed it. I'm like, this issue for the attorney general to go out to me right now looks, even if he was electioneering or something,
Well, looks like we lost Brian
it,
again. That he was just getting good. We're gonna if
it,
he can. All right, are you there?
yeah, I see this as, yeah, I'm here. Are you there? We
Yeah,
now?
I got
Another
you. Okay,
phone
good. Start
call.
over. What do you think about the Conrad Reynolds getting indicted by Tim Griffin?
Yeah, yeah. So on ballots, I was on the election commission when they were cheating paper ballots. This electronic can be cheated, I'm sure. I can walk in a credit card now and transfer $2.50 to buy a soda pop. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but I will say this. I do think counties should be able to, if they want to do paper ballots, they can do paper ballots. Okay. That is my position right now. I don't know that going to all paper ballots is this panacea everybody says it is, but yet, for Conrad Reynolds to get arrested in this thing, I'm like, and go to this level, to me right now, as I see it, it just looks like pure political calculated scheme, is what I see it right now at this point. I don't see that, you know, if he was doing it, we've seen a lot worse that's been done. I mean, look at the Crawford County mess up there with elections. Look at a lot of this stuff. And then to go and charge somebody and go to this, I'm like, wait a minute here. Look at the Searcy County election commissioners that were banned for 10 years or 14 years from being on the election commission for what, a violation of like
A hundred,
$80
a
or
hundred
something.
dollars.
Yeah,
Yeah, they should have spent more
yeah,
money.
$100. I mean, my gosh. I mean, this is just, uh, you know, they're going to come out. There is a bigger issue to this whole thing than just the idea of somebody electioneering or exit polling. There is a much bigger, complicated scheme in this whole thing being played out.
Yeah, according to Conrad, no one's ever actually been charged with this before. This specific thing.
No,
And then we also had contradictory statements from Attorney General Tim Griffin, one on the Dave Ellswick show saying this is not about electioneering and exit polling, and then the official statement, attributed to him on his website specifically cited the statute on electioneering and mentioned exit polling. So there's
hmm
there's just more questions around it, and it's fascinating to me that Searcy and Independence County have decided to go paper. A lot of people, especially with the rise of AI. I think you're getting to a point where, and we did a whole show on this yesterday about the dangers of artificial intelligence and where it's coming from, and
hmm
what's it going to do. Eventually, people are not going to be able to believe their own eyes, and they're going to want people in charge that are flesh and blood and have souls. And if it's
hmm
going to get so bad that that's what people are going to clamor for, and in order to know what you believe or know what the facts are, you're going to have to see somebody flesh and blood in front of you, because it's getting to a point where with technology you're not going to know what's true and what's not, and so people are going to be
Yeah.
desperate to have real connection. And I think that's one of the reasons paper ballots seem reasonable to me at this point, because the technology is only going to get more sophisticated. And with the Intel oligarchy, that's basically run a color revolution against the American people for the last decade, I just think it makes sense right now to do that. And I understand why people are doing that, because I don't know if you've ever
Yeah.
seen Battlestar Galactica, the reimagined
Oh,
version.
yeah.
But there's a reason that that main ship survived. It's because it didn't have network computers. Because
Yeah.
anyway, so
And hey, listen, I'm concerned about that. I was on whenever they were cheating paper ballots, like Hudson Hallam, all that. When we got electronic, they weren't, that's a more safer. I mean, I go back to Hava whenever we went for, machines or paper and machines. And it seemed like at the time, with everything going on back then, that, electronic was the way to go. I'm not saying it can't be cheated or easily cheated or whatever. I'm just saying, counties should have the flexibility right now to do it. I am concerned about the electronics, question about it. I can just say that, it doesn't matter what it is. If they're wanting to scam or cheat an election, there's going to be try to do it.
That's true.
And right
That's true.
now, the electronic part is whether it's paper or that. I mean, and I'm not dissing Conrad's position or anything like that. I mean, I'm just saying, yeah, I agree that. Hey, I really don't know. I mean, it's like it is scary right now with AI and electronic stuff and everything like that. I mean, my gosh, you can sit here and look at the electronic fraud we're dealing with your bank account or everything else. So,
Yeah.
uh, you know, but I'm just saying in this case right now, if he was in fact electioneering or whatever, that is like you shouldn't be doing that. That is not on a level like these Searcy County commissioners over $100 banning them for 14 years or whatever. It's like, no, that is so egregious that you're up to something. There's no way to go that far in
Well, yeah, I
something.
mean, I think what we can agree on is that if a county wants to go to all paper ballots, they shouldn't be prosecuted, by the state government for doing that,
Mhm.
and are persecuted. I mean, that seems to be what we witnessed. The more I've kind of researched it and figured out what was going on. So, I mean, let's give people
Mhm.
continue to protect the people's right to govern themselves. And that also goes for the people of Franklin County who do need representation before the fiscal session. And so,
Mhm.
we
Absolutely.
can just stick to
Yeah.
these high principles, and things will be a lot better. They certainly would.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, we need accountability, transparency, but this governor doesn't want accountability and transparency. You can see it every step, whether it's the prison, whether it's a special election. You see what happened to Conrad. There are certainly alarming things. And if Joe Biden was doing these things or Nancy Pelosi's was doing anything, they'd be literally protesting in the streets over it. And so it's like I say, a Republican is in the principles of things is a good person. A Democrat, though I may disagree on policies, is a good person. Where you're getting these people with these power, it's about and it doesn't matter either side anymore right now. Now there's four things governing down there in Arkansas right now. And it doesn't matter if it's a prison, the special election, this thing over Conrad Reynolds, it appears. It is about four things: money, power, control, and whatever public scheme you can put on to mislead people to try and want for you or your friends or payoff or something. That is the four things that's going on right now. And just because they have an R by their name, that doesn't mean that they're being honest about anything. I can certainly tell you that.
all right, last question as we wind things down. We got about 3 minutes left. I'm obviously here in Northeast Arkansas. You're over in Northwest Arkansas. I thought the game at War Memorial Stadium was great. It was a long time coming,
Oh no,
obviously. I thought it was.
we're
I thought it was
we're going
great,
to be. Oh no,
even though my
yeah,
team lost. Even though my team lost
yeah.
handily, I still thought it was great. What are your thoughts on it being an annual
Oh no.
event? Go ahead.
Okay, so Paul and I is going to be. Hey, people need to flag this. We're going to be. I'm like I'm not. I'm for the games being played in Fayetteville. I do think you could play some exhibition games, red white games in Little Rock. I think for the money, everything else that we need to do it. I think Coach Petrino needs to be the next coach of Arkansas. He's doing a great job with offense. He's back. I do think he is the guy. I've seen what he's done at Missouri State up here north of me. Coach Petrino, whatever you want to say, he made his mistake. He's come back, apologized, done stuff. He has done a tremendous amount of the offense. I will say this. I do think that Arkansas, we need to, if you have an A State game, it needs to be in Fayetteville. We need all the games in Fayetteville for the sake of that and everything for the whole system. If you
So
want to
you
play an
just
A State
disagree?
game
You
every
just
year, it's one
disagree?
issue.
You disagree with the governor on everything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, no, on the Little Rock thing, no. I'm like, if we're gonna play A State, it needs to be in Fayetteville. I'm sorry,
Well, no, I
but
totally
that's my position.
I know I get it, man. I just thought I'd ask the question and lighten the mood a little bit. But
Yeah, no, no, and I'm smiling and laughing now, so it's like one of those things. Is like, okay, Paul, we may be a little different this one. So,
yeah, no, that's
uh,
totally fine. Hey, I appreciate you being on. It's always great to talk to you, Brian. We need to do it again soon. Keep me posted on everything. And I know you have
okay,
a primary, and maybe we can come in and we can talk about that again sometime because I know it's also tied up with this
yeah,
who's for the prison, who's against the prison situation. But I do appreciate it,
yeah,
sir.
no,
Got
and have my opponent on. I want people to understand and hear both sides. I mean, you can more
absolutely.
than welcome to have my opponent on and talk to him. So,
Well,
yeah,
that would be great.
so
I would certainly be
okay.
open to that. Brian, we appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much. God bless you. Be safe.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Take
All right,
care.
absolutely. Folks, that's about all the time we have for this edition of the Paul Harrell program. I want to remind everybody to go to paultalkshow.substack.com if you want to become a paid subscriber. If you become a paid subscriber, I'll send you a copy of Left Wing Will and the Red Pill, the game that laughs at the left's expense, the one that I created and wrote. And today's Thursday. We don't typically do Friday shows. That's all the time we have. Say a prayer for Rob that his ankle gets better. And God bless everybody out there. We'll see you again.